Good evening, Milpitas. Why is there an echo? I'm your 2022 Board President, Kelly Yip Chuan. Welcome to the meeting of the Milpitas Unified District Board of Education. We appreciate your attendance and participation in our education proceedings, which aligns with the guidelines set forth by the Ralph M. Brown Act for opening meetings. On January 25th, 2022, the board enacted AB 3621 in accordance with Executive Order N-1-22. Tune into our hybrid-style board meetings online on either Zoom or YouTube or in person inside our boardroom. Public comments can be made while you are logged into Zoom or if you are in person. YouTube, however, is a listen-only option. If you're unable to do either of these, please visit our written public comments webpage for instructions on how to submit your written comment. One public comment per person is allowed for each item. Call meeting to order. Scott, would you do the roll call, please?
Okay. We will start. Board Member Leanne.
Here.
Board Member Sai.
Present.
Board Clerk No.
Here.
Board Vice President Norwood.
Here.
Board President Yip Chuan.
Here. And our board members, our student board members will join us later. Item 3, review and approve the closed session agenda.
Motion to approve the closed session agenda.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, Scott?
Board Member Leanne.
Yes.
Board Member Sai.
Aye.
Board Clerk No.
Yes.
Board Vice President Norwood.
Yes.
Board President Yip Chuan.
Yes.
5-0.
Okay, thank you, Scott. And we go on to item number 4, comments from the public. Are there any comments from the public at this time?
We have no hands raised, no public comment at this time.
Okay, 5, closed session. The meeting will adjourn to closed session to discuss and/or take action on the following items. This part of the agenda is closed to the public. Conference with the rural property negotiator. So we are now adjourned to closed session. Good evening, Milpitas. I'm your 2022 Board President, Kelly Yip Chuan. Welcome to this meeting of the Milpitas Unified District Board of Education. We appreciate your attendance and participation in our education proceedings, which aligns with the guidelines set forth by the Ralph M. Brown Act for opening meetings. On January 25th, 2022, the board enacted the AB 361 in accordance with the Executive Order N-1-22. Tune into our hybrid style meetings online, either Zoom or YouTube, or in person inside our boardroom. Public comments can be made while you are logged on to Zoom or you are in person. YouTube, however, is a listen-only option. If you are unable to do either of these, please visit our written public comment webpage for instructions on how to submit your written comment. For a virtual audience, you will see the instructions for public comment on your screen. Our communication specialist will briefly go over them. For our in-person audience, please go to the podium when you are called on. Instructions for both are also listed on each agenda. There are copies available at the back table. One public comment per person is allowed for each item. Our communication specialist will take it from here.
Thank you, President Yip Chuan. And as our virtual audience will see on the screen, if you were logged into Zoom virtually, you will be able to make a public comment. You will click the hand icon to indicate that you will be making a public comment. We ask that you please wait to be called on. The President will call on in the order of the names as they are received. We'll enable your audio. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. You'll take yourself off mute. And we just ask that you please be patient. The Board President will call on public comments at the appropriate time. As for public comments, members of the public may address the board on any subject that does not appear on tonight's agenda. However, provisions of the Brown Act, Government Code 54954.2a and .3 preclude any action. As an unagendized item, no response is required from the board or district staff, and no action can be taken. However, the board may instruct the superintendent to agendize the item for a future meeting. Please note that the Brown Act, Government Code Section 54954.3, prohibits members of the board in commenting or engaging in discussion during the public comment portion of the agenda, except when seeking clarification on a point made by the speaker, provide a reference to staff members for factual information, or request a staff member to report back to the board on any matter at a subsequent meeting. We do offer special accommodations at our board meetings. If you do need special accommodations, please contact us at the superintendent's office at least 2 business days in advance, and we'll see what we can do. Our meetings are broadcast live on both Zoom and YouTube. Closed captioning is available on the Zoom platform. You'll click on the closed captioning icon and a live transcription will appear on your screen. And lastly, if there are any additional documents that were not part of the agenda, those are public records and they are available for anybody upon request. On that note, thank you. Have a great meeting. Back to you, Board President Yip Chuan.
Thank you very much, Scott. 7, closed session announcement. There were no actions taken in our closed session. Item number 8, review and approve the open session agenda. Could I get a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Open session agenda.
Could we have a motion? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Scott?
Okay, roll call vote. Board Member Leanne,
Yes.
Board Member Sai,
Yes.
Board Clerk Ngo,
Yes.
Board Vice President Norwood,
Yes.
Board President Yip Chuan.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. And now it is time for our flag salute. May I have the Milpitas High School NJROTC please come approach the podium, introduce yourselves, and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hello. Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Cadet Amuzani, and accompanying me is Cadet Nguyen and Cadet Santiago. We are from the Milpitas NJROTC program. Please rise. Remove your caps and join me in the flag salute. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, item number 10, publics from the comments. Are there any public from the are there any public comments at this time?
So we have no virtual hands raised. And just to remind those in the audience, if you would like to make a public comment, there are green cards in the back by the door. You fill that out, hand it to me, and I can give it to the board president. On that note, Principal Yipshan, we do have a written public comment that on your say-so, I'll read it.
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. This is from Sridaya Kumar of Iyer Lane in Milpitas. I am a VPP teacher at the secondary level and was informed that I will not be able to work remotely next school year. I take pride in the fact that we implemented a brand new program for VPP with countless hours and dedication. Our program's success speaks for itself. As far as track records go, I would like to humbly submit that I have had an excellent evaluations and I have been selected as a STEM educator by TI and Santa Clara County Office of Education for my contributions as an engineering teacher, and that we have won an exemplary program award at the CCEA conference. Besides, I have fulfilled ancillary duties such as school site council for years. From what I was told, all VPP teachers will be required to report to a site. Given how we run the program, it doesn't make a difference because we are providing all the requisite services like one-on-one help and weekly check-ins remotely. Given the current situation, our students have not found a need to drop by and work in person, even though that has been offered to them. I humbly request you to consider my case and grant me permission to work remotely for school year 2022-2023. And that's all the public comments we have at this time.
Thank you very much, Scott. Okay, we're moving on to item 11.
Wait,
Oh, I'm so sorry. Is there more public comments?
That was Board Member Sai.
yeah, on the issue of teaching remotely, from what I heard, if there's a way to maybe explore a pathway.
I'm
for-
sorry, Board Member Tai. Did you have questions? I'm sorry. Okay, do you
Yeah,
have
I
questions
was-
for our staff?
Yeah, is there a way we can look into maybe exploring the possibility of letting a teacher work remotely if there's no demand from the students to drop in? Not saying we need to do it,
Thank
but
you, Board Member Sai. I will address that with staff at a different point in time.
thank you.
Okay, next comment we have in person is Greg Jones.
As you can see by my address, I am here in another capacity. However, I wish to take this opportunity to just say thank you to the board. In our times of political strife, we see that there's a great deal of animosity in some places in our country between the school boards and our citizens, but we don't have that. We see there's a great deal of disagreement between school boards in some places and the citizenry, but we don't have that. Ours get along. So I thank you. I thank you, Superintendent Jordan, for having a staff that understand what their jobs are. I thank you for your leadership, and I thank you for your competence.
Okay, thank you very much. If there's no other public comments? We will move on to item 11, Milpitas Unified School District 2018-2021 Strategic Goals. Build a culture of we that engages parents, staff, and community partners in supporting student success. Improve communication system for better outreach to parents, students, and staff. Develop educational pathway that allows students to apply their passion in learning for their future careers. Focus services and support systems to ensure that all students are engaged in their learning and are making social, emotional, and academic gains. Identify creative, student-focused strategies to accommodate enrollment growth and ensure healthy learning environments. Okay, move on to item number 12, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, President. Thank you, President Yip Chuan. And thank you, Mr. Jones. Up first, I would like to recognize our Eagle Scouts, and in particular Roman Solivera, who did a Eagle Scout project where he assembled over 500 face shields that he donated to Milpitas Unified School District. And I'm sure he had a team effort behind him. So I'd like all of you to come up and take a photo with the staff and our board and receive your honor.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thanks again for coming. Thanks again for coming. Thank you. Thank you. Good job.
All right. Our next recognition is virtual. Oh, sure.
There you go.
I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to be here today. I'd like to say thank you to all of those who made my project possible. First of all, Mr. McCall from Lockheed Martin Innovation Garage, who provided the raw materials, Mr. Jones, who connected me with Superintendent Jordan, and Miss Ng, who communicated with me throughout the project. I'd also like to thank those from my Boy Scout troop, Troop 170, who helped me execute the project and give me feedback. Mr. Peterson, Ms. Jones, Mr. Brobst, and of course, all of the scouts who participated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have a virtual recognition of a Milpitas Unified School District alumni who is currently at Spelman College and was our past president of the Black Student Union, Ms. Nyla Chote. And Nyla recently published a children's book called My Roots Are Rich. And so we'd like to recognize you, Nyla, for your accomplishment. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you so much, and I appreciate it so much. I also just like to give a huge thank you to our supporting board, especially Mr. Norwood, who have just supported me. I mean, since I was a freshman in high school, and truly a huge part of my journey in being a children's now. And if any of you would like to support my book, you go to www.myresearch.org. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Nyla. And Nyla, do you happen to have the book with you? You could show us the cover and.
I do have one of the proofs going on.
Okay,
Hey,
terrific. Thank you, Nyla, and we look forward to hearing you read the book to some of our students during Women's History Month. All right, next for my report, I would like to do my my board COVID update. And running through our numbers here, we have, as you can see, the numbers that have per 100,000 COVID case rate based on vaccinated, unvaccinated, and overall. And it's down across the board, down by 83 with the vaccinated, 368 by unvaccinated, and 112 overall. And I'd like to take a quick look at this graph, which I think,
Superintendent Jordan, your screen's not sharing presently.
oh. Thank you. So I'd like to share this graph, which can be found on the Santa Clara.
It's still not sharing. If you want to send it to me, I can share it.
I think it's just user error. There you go.
There you go.
Okay. So this graph can be found at the Santa Clara County Public Health Department's website. And I wanted to share the graph with everybody today because you can really see since May how COVID has progressed, and then the surge here. And the red line represents those who are unvaccinated, and the teal line represents the vaccinated residents, and the kind of grayish one is the overall. So you see there's a huge difference between those who are vaccinated and those who are not vaccinated. We recently had 2 vaccination clinics, one at Rancho and one at Weller this past Saturday. I don't have the numbers back yet from Rancho, but at Weller we had 190 vaccinations. 135 of those were boosters and 55 were first time for children. So we will be having another vaccination clinic on March 5th. There are different places that people can go to throughout the county and the city to be vaccinated and to get your boosters. Know now that in order to be fully vaccinated, you also need to have a booster shot. And again, the graph speaks for why to do it. Then here is the percentage of people who have the vaccine. For those up to age 17, 70%, which is an increase of 1%. And then those who are eligible and have the booster, it's 3.6% increase. In order to get the booster, you need to be 2 months out from your last your second dose. And then for people ages 5 to 17, that is up by 2.9%. And looking at our own case rate here in our district, you see that it still had an increase from January 25th to February 7th by a total of 353. So it's still essential that we continue with our practice of safety with masking and making sure that people are aware of their symptoms and getting tested, which I'll speak to in a moment. Here is the latest data on our sub, and these subs are those who are directly in the classroom, so our teachers and our paraprofessionals. And you can see that the number of sub jobs needed are going down a slight bit, and the number of our fill rate is definitely much better than it was the week first week of January back from winter break. Here's what our absence data looks like. We're no longer excluding COVID absences. We are including them in the regular overall absences. So you see that the number of absences amongst our students is also down. And I'd like to talk about how we are now looking at bridging from the surge to an endemic. We've heard recently that the state is going to be looser with masking. For Cal OSHA and also school requirements is slightly different from what we experience when we're out in the public. But know that for our everyday life outside of school and work, that as of February 15th, those who are vaccinated will not need to wear a mask indoors, but it is recommended. And those who are unvaccinated will need to wear a mask. And here at the schools and Cal OSHA for work, we're still required to wear a mask. We want to be ahead of this upcoming break. February break is 2 days holiday for in recognition of the President's holidays, and then 3 days of vacation for our students and all of our school site employees. And know that we will continue with our group contact exposure notices. And we also want to encourage everybody to continue with testing. You are now able to do in-home tests. If you haven't already, you can order free tests from covidtest.gov. I just received mine yesterday. And on Wednesday, February 23rd, we will have a drive-up testing here at the district office. That's in the middle of the February break. And then again on Sunday, February 27th. We currently have these 3 sites scheduled with potential for more. So the idea is, because we won't be getting any tests from the government as we did during winter break, we instead are working with outside agencies, in this case, Big Bang Art and Predison, to provide testing for our students. So currently we have the capacity on Sunday, February 27th to test 2,800 students and families. And do know that there is testing in the city of Milpitas on Mondays and Fridays, as well as the potential for you to do home testing. So we will be sending out messages next week, as well as the week of February break, encouraging everybody to get tested before they return to school. And if they are positive, to stay home. And that concludes our COVID update for this board session.
Thank you very much, Superintendent, for that report. We're moving on to item number 13, Superintendent's Executive Cabinet Report.
I'd like to first start with our principal report from Pomeroy Elementary School. We have Principal Nicole Klein, Vice Principal Anastasia Herisafanis, and Teacher Extraordinaire Diane Orlando, who's shaking her head no. But she is here for support.
Okay, is it on? We're good? Okay. Thank you very much, Board and Executive Cabinet and Cheryl, Superintendent Jordan. Like you said, my name's Nicole Klein, the principal at Marshall Pomeroy Elementary. And tonight I am going to be speaking about strategic goal number 1 and how Pomeroy has built a culture of we that engages families, staff, and community in supporting student success. And thinking about how the pandemic and the endemic is now coming to fruition. The changes that we made to ensure that our families have the opportunity to engage in the work that we're doing at Pomeroy. Specifically, we have put together a video that speaks about how we've revamped our Student of the Month assemblies, in which students are recognized for their growth and excellence in our pride traits. and also how we have incorporated the family opportunity to send in congratulatory videos to really recognize their children. Since we aren't having large crowds join us at school this year, we really wanted to hit hard that opportunity for families to really get engaged and make these videos their own. So you're going to have a chance to see a few of those. We also really revamped the ways that we are teaching and learning, teaching and engaging students in their learning opportunities around culture and race. So teaching students specifically about things such as what it's like to celebrate Diwali, what is it like to celebrate Lunar New Year and Black History Month, and how can we incorporate additional opportunities to learn about social justice. So with that, we're going to have, it's a 6-minute video because we really wanted to acknowledge the great work that our Pomeroy community is doing to really show the culture of we that Milpitas is known for. So, on to the video.
Congratulations, Maya! We are so proud of you! We love you!
Hey Mara, congratulations. Want to let you know how proud we are of you and cannot wait to go out and celebrate. Congratulations, love. Love you.
Yay! Congratulations, Imara! We are so incredibly proud of you, honey. Your character is beautiful and amazing, and you work so hard. Congratulations.
Keep up the great work.
Yay!
Hi, Logan. It's Mom and Dad. We're so proud of you. You work so hard. You definitely deserve this. And we're so proud of the boy that you are and how hard that you work.
Congratulations, Logan.
Congratulations, Logan. We're so proud of you. You're doing great.
Congratulations, Logan. We're proud of you.
Hi, Logan. I think you got it from your grandpa.
Congratulations, buddy. We love you.
Love you.
Congratulations, Bernice, Marshall Pomeroy, Student of the Month. We are so proud of your hard work and for being so responsible with all your homework.
Congratulations, Bernice. And when you get home, I'll give you $1 million. I'm kidding. When you get home, I'll make you ramen. I know that's your favorite. Congratulations, Bernice.
Congratulations.
We love you.
Love you.
Congratulations, Leo!
We are so proud of you. You are so smart, so hardworking, and Mommy and Daddy are happy for you.
Great job. Keep up the good work.
We love you!
Hey, Ryan. It's Mom and Dad. We just heard the news about being nominated Student of the Month. Awesome news, pal. We just wanted to make a video telling you that we're proud of you and to say congratulations. Congratulations!
Hi Pomeroy family, this is the Miles family. We wanted to say thank you for putting on such an awesome event for Student of the Month in December. Our family had a great time there. We got to see some familiar faces and to meet some new faces or new people. It was a great opportunity for our family to get to know some other families because we are new to Pomeroy. And it also felt good to be around other families because you get the sense of normalcy despite COVID taking place. So thank you for putting on such a nice event for our families, and we hope to have more events in the future. Thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Hi, it's Paige Brown from Pomeroy. I've been in the district, I think, 26 years now.
at Pomeroy for 20, I think. And the whole time I've been here, we've always done a great job with celebrating students, but I've never felt like anybody but the students who got the award really appreciated it. I don't feel like it really affected student behavior or motivated students to try to think more about their pride and character traits and things like that. But since we started our new student of the month this year, oh my goodness, when the kids come back from an assembly, they are trying so hard to demonstrate the new character trait. It was adorable after we did the first assembly and the kids came back from the perseverance assembly and activities. They knew the next one was respect. And when they came in the classroom, they were amazing. It's awesome.
My name is Wally, and I have 129 Panda Prides, and I got so many Panda Prides because I was showing respect and good things and doing all the things good. I was listening to Miss Tran too.
And also wanted to also throw in a little plug about every student of the month that is recognized, we hold a family breakfast. So they're able to bring whoever they want to join them, eat a meal together. Ms. Miles referenced that it was a great opportunity for some of our newer families to kind of get that feeling that we have at Pomeroy, that sense of belonging and family beyond Pomeroy, but also in Milpitas, but really getting to know one another and getting to know why we say things like the Pomeroy family and what it feels like to be a part of the Pomeroy family. And so building in those wonderful opportunities is something that we were excited to share with everyone tonight. And also wanted to let you all know, board members and executive cabinet, you should have received an invitation to this Thursday. We're holding a parent family breakfast recognizing the students that you saw in the video tonight, as well as some others. So we hope to see you all at 7:30 on Thursday morning. Questions?
What's for breakfast?
You got to show up to find out. Lots of yummy stuff. According to Yelp, the best donuts in the Bay Area. I know.
It's very tempting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will go with Executive Director Preeti Jari.
Good evening. Tonight I will be sharing a joint report on behalf of both Mary Jude and myself. In L&D, we have been very focused on the local control accountability plan, both in terms of preparing the mid-year report that we'll share later tonight, as well as launching the process to gather input from our educational partners for revision for the upcoming year. We launched the thought exchange question, and I'd like to use this opportunity to plug for our community to take a couple minutes and share their thoughts. You have the link via Parent Square and an upcoming school site council meetings. Principals are also sharing the link. So far, we have approximately 240 respondents who've shared more than 270 unique thoughts. This is a fantastic start, but we are looking to at least quadruple the number of participants. To that end, I would like to thank MHS Activities Director Jarrell Menhea. He is helping me to coordinate with the MHS Student Body Communications team. Their communications group is going to help hatch a plan to engage more student and family voices in the process. Right now, of the respondents, 44% are parents and families, and 40% are MUSD classified and certificated members. It's critical that we incorporate more student voice. So I would also like to enlist the help and support of our student reps on the board. Thank you.
Thank you. And Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, Wendy John.
Thank you, Cheryl. Good evening. I have 3 short reports for tonight. First of all, I would like to give a big shout out to our warehouse and MOT staff for their efforts in picking up our PPE, personal protection equipment supplies from our county in a timely manner. Often, we receive a short notice of pickup, but our staff has been able to make this as a priority. Because of their good work, we were able to provide masks to all staff and students. We have also distributed hand sanitizers to sites and departments as needed. My second report is from our Business Services Department. Currently, we're working on the district's second interim budget update. We will have it ready at the March 8th board meeting. And in the meantime, we're also planning for the 2022-23 budget development process. Lastly, I'm happy to share a significant milestone in our Innovation Campus project. This past Tuesday on February 1st, each of the district's department head, along with our secondary school principals, met with our architect. We did our final design review before they sent in to the state architect for approval. So once we receive the approval from the state, guess what? The construction can be started. So I'm very excited to share that. That concludes my report for tonight.
Thank you. And our Assistant Sup of Human Relations, Jonathan Brunson.
Good evening, trustees and community of Milpitas. Real quick, Saturday I was in my first virtual teacher recruitment fair over at Stanislaus State, and we discovered some students that want to or come to possibly Milpitas to teach special education, and one actually has family here. So it's always good to reach out virtually and see who's out there to support our learners. Second, I want to give a special shout out to my HR team. They've each taken on the new responsibilities of supporting certificated staff and the credentialing status that goes into that. That used to be just one person in my department. Now it's 4. A lot of learning curve, but I'm just so proud of Kay, Charlotte, Maria Elena, Virginia, who's getting constant support from both Heather and Damon in our department, as well as Lori. And so it's just a lot to take on, but they're doing a great job. I was able to also go visit sites, as well as have sites come to my office so we can go over staffing and projections for next year and support our administrators in next steps. And then last but not least, a teaser. I also belong to Kiwanis Club here in Milpitas, as well as our superintendent, Cheryl Jordan, Diana Orlando, and Norma Morales. And we are going to put together first ever Milpitas Reads for our second graders. Each of our second graders will get a book. I had it here. Oh, see, thank you. I don't know if you can zoom in on this, Scott, but it's right here. And it's Evelyn Del Rey is moving away, and we wanted to pick a culturally responsive book so our children can see themselves with a theme and a story. It's sponsored by Milpitas Reads, and each of our second grade teachers, administrators, cabinet, and trustees are going to get this lovely shirt. Then on the front of it says Milpitas Reads, and then Fly High with Reading. And so trustees, I have a shirt for you today, but there's more to come. We're going to do our big announcement later. So, President.
Well, thank you very much.
Vice President, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And we'll let you know more about that later, but we're just excited that the Kiwanis are involved in this, and we want to make this an annual event for all of our second graders each year. So thank you very much, and that's my report.
Thank you, Cabinet. That concludes our reports for tonight.
Thank you very much, Cabinet, and thank you, Jonathan, for the goodie, the T-shirt here. So we're moving on to item 14, board group agreements. The board group agreements are provided for the board's ready reference as a reminder of our conduct as elected official. Per Board Bylaws 9001, amended on November 26, 2019, board members and the superintendent agrees to: 1, keep learning and achieve for all students as the primary focus, ask questions for our own understanding, be open and honest with each other, no surprises, includes unapproved communications with law enforcement, news media, regional elected officials on behalf of the district and or board. Be aware that our behavior in the community reflects us as a team. Communicate proactively with each other about topics, questions, and challenges in open sessions and in advance of public board meetings in compliance with the Brown Act. Participate in professional development and commit the time and energy necessary to be an informed and effective leader. And finally, actively support the culture of we in action, deed, and opportunity to serve the students and parents of the Milpitas Unified School District. 15, board communications request. This part of the agenda provides school board members the opportunity to report on their activities as elected representatives. School board members may request the placement of items in future board agenda, relay information from the community, or request information from staff. The student board representatives report on school and student activities. Reports are limited to 90 seconds each. Shall we start with the student board reps?
Certainly. We'll start with Student Board Rep Kimberly Lopez from Cal Hills.
Hello. Okay. Lions Club is working to raise money for Dignity on Wheels next week. It's an organization that helps homeless people by providing them with mobile showers and laundry. And also during that week, it will be Spirit Week, meaning each day will have its own theme. For instance, Monday will be What Do You Love? Dressing up to represent something or someone you love by wearing red, white, or pink. With a fun activity called Searching for Love, which will consist of collecting as many hearts as you can for a prize. Then we have Twins Day on Tuesday, Wave Your Flag Wednesday, Dress to Impress Yourself Thursday, and lastly, Loving Day Friday. That is all.
Thank you, Kimberly. Next up, Student Board Rep Mira Bhakta from Middle College High School.
Hi, high school board and various committee members that are present here today. This week at the Middle College is our second week of college classes, and over half of the student population have gone to the main campus on the buses that have been provided to us. Many of us have been very happy to have access to the classes, libraries, and labs that are present on the main campus, and this opportunity has allowed many students like me to be able to take sociology and biology on the main campus. A huge thanks to the school board who helped us be able to secure the buses and helped us make our plans solid for getting these buses. They allow us access to so many things at the main SJCC campus that many of us love. On another note, the application window has opened for the Middle College, and we are accepting incoming juniors and seniors. There will be an information night held on various dates throughout February and March, and if you cannot attend, please make sure to reach out to Ms. Scott for further information. If you're having trouble with the application or do not know where to start, there will be an application workshop led by the MMCHS students. Many, including me, have volunteered to help applicants with the application or answer questions about the Middle College. For more information, please check out our school website, mmchs.musd.org. Thank you for listening, and that is all.
Thank you, Mira. Next up is Student Board Rep Sydney Wong of Milpitas High School. She did email me earlier with her report. She had a personal matter come up and was not able to attend, so I'm going to read her report for her. Milpitas High School has completed its first multicultural week upon coming off of the online school format. Here, students dressed up in their traditional cultural clothing that showed their peers the roots that they are proud of, prompting other students to show who they are. There was a food sale for students to try foods from different cultures and overall just open up their perspective on the world. This next week is focused on demonstrating to students different forms of love, either self, friendship, and more. Milpitas High School advocates for the amplification of student voices to take action that best reflects their voices and opinions for a better community. Thank you, Sydney.
Thank you very much, student board reps. Now we're going to move on to the board members' report. Let's start with board member Han Lian.
Thank you. I only have one report since it was the Chinese and Vietnamese New Year, the Lunar New Year last week. I spent most of my time celebrating the New Year with the family. So I had one meeting that I attended, that was the SCC-SBA meeting. And that's it for my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Board member Michael Tsai.
Good evening, everyone. I'll keep it brief. Happy Lunar New Year. The SBA Zoom, and I also went to a Lunar New Year calligraphy ceremony. I drew the character for Tiger. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Clerk Minno.
Thank you, Madam President. Sean. Good evening, Milpitas residents and community. Since the last board meeting, I attended the Transitional Kindergarten Informational Night. I attended the Santa Clara County School Boards Association meeting. Attended the Community Board Advisory Committee meeting. I attended a meeting with High Tech High Heels, and also attended the Milpitas Rotary meeting. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Vice President Chris Norwood.
Thank you, Madam President. Attended the U.S. Department of Agriculture discussion regarding environmental science opportunities at our Airpoint site for students. Attended Understanding the New California Mathematics Framework panel discussion. Attended the Association of California School Administrators Legislative Lunch and Learn, which featured our own Superintendent Jordan as a panelist. Met with Assembly Member Alex Lee and School Board Superintendent Roundtable with President Kelly Upchwan and Superintendent Jordan, Santa Clara County School Boards Association Legislative Action Committee, and I'll yield the rest of the time.
Okay, thank you very much, Vice President Norwood. As for me, I attended the CBAC meeting, City School Collaborative Meeting, State of Education, SCC, SBA with County Superintendent, and Roundtable with school board members and Superintendent. We also attended the Flame Keepers Black History Month ceremony. And yesterday we met with a nonprofit to organize testing sites for the February break return with Superintendent and Vice President Norwood. Okay, that concludes mine. So now we are moving on to item number 16, reports.
We have our local control accountability plan mid-year update presented by Executive Director Preeti Johari and Director Shani Yu.
Good evening, Superintendent Jordan and esteemed board members. Tonight you will hear from Director Yam and myself on the mid-year Lcap update. Please know the work reflected in these slides is that of the whole L&D team and deep collaboration with business services and tech. A special thanks to Coordinator Sugimura and Director Koide for their work aggregating the student outcome data, and Senior Admin Secretary Michelle Ekrit and Director Yam for their work on aggregating the spending. Thanks. Next, yeah, there we go. Tonight, what we are presenting is a one-time supplement to the annual update. This is a new aspect of the Lcap this year because significant state and federal funds were added to the district budget after June 2021. The goal tonight is to provide an update on the added funds, spending plans, as well as provide a general update on our Lcap goals and metrics. Next slide.
So I'll be giving you an update on the budget overview for parents. So the budget overview for parents is a document that was presented to the board and also approved back in June, early June. And after that, the Governor Newsom signs his final state 2021-22 budget at the end of June. So in his final state budget, he has some one-time new funding added to his budget. And among those new fundings, Milpitas Unified is getting 4 additional new grants fundings in the total amount of 4.5 million. And today, I'll be showing you how it will be impacting our budget. Next slide, please. So among this 4.5 million of additional new funding, 4.2 million of it is we are going to budget it as revenue in the upcoming second interim budget report. And then 239,000 of it is going to be carrying forward to the next fiscal year because those funding will not be available until next fiscal year. And then within the 4.2 million of revenue, 1.6 of it is going to be budgeted in expenditure in the upcoming second interim report. This is because the difference of it is the other fundings required a plan with the new programs. So we will be budgeting the related expenditure as we adopt the different spending plan. And then, so therefore, and also the other thing is of all of these new programs, they all have a multiple years spending period. Therefore, we will not only, we will incorporate when we have the complete plan. Next one. So within the governor's final budget, another significant changes is he proposed additional concentration funding to school districts. But however, because our school districts, the low-income English learner and foster youth enrollment is less than the threshold of 55%, therefore we do not receive this additional concentration funding. At this point, our low-income English learner foster youth enrollment is about 42%.
So what does that mean moving forward? That those numbers, as far as our English learners, foster youth, and low income, is at 42%. Is that going to affect fundings that we received in the past moving forward?
Moving forward, if our percentage in this, we call it unduplicated pupil counts, when this percentage, if it goes up to 55%, then we will be receiving additional concentration funding. Otherwise, we will not be eligible for it.
Yeah, so our district trend is our demographic change. So our supplemental percentage actually is going down. And so definitely we're not eligible for this additional, for this concentration grant period.
So this is something that you've been talking about for a while, about us being wary of our funding sources based on the changing demographics, because it will affect the budgeting process in the future, and our ability to retain, attract, recruit, and do all the things that we talk about in terms of supporting our students. We have to be thoughtful of that and figure out ways to make sure that we're able to get that, create additional funding for our programs.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Next slide. So just a recap, listed on this slide are the additional one-time funds we received, some of them as recently, or were made aware of as recently as November 2020. 21. When it comes to developing programs and spending plans, we always begin by understanding the needs of our educational partners, which includes certificated and classified staff, students, and families. We want the development of programs to be tied to our district's strategic goals, building a culture of we, educational pathways, systems of support, and creative student-focused strategies. In general, our approach to engaging educational partners in this visioning process is to utilize the existing structures that we have in place, existing virtual and in-person structures for communication, collaboration, and feedback, rather than adding one-time meetings that are just tied to specific grants. This includes but is not limited to board meetings, virtual CBAC meetings, CSACE meetings, DLAC meetings, and school site meetings as we develop a more in-depth, and we also have been doing more in-depth listening tours with our site leaders. So that's the work that Mary Jude and I have been doing on site, as well as Marissa and Yvonne have also been visiting the sites focused on looking at some of these specific grants. Next slide. In terms of the plans where we have an expenditure plan, the outcomes from these conversations are outlined here. 3 areas of focus have been ensuring continuous and safe in-person learning, increasing access to instructional programming, as well as more instructional time, and the development of a long-term independent study program. A couple of highlights is that we have added health clerks, campus monitors, custodians, and bus drivers, as well as expanded our internal mental health programming. One of the other things that came from this funding is the launch of the Milpitas Middle College program and the Educate Everywhere Virtuals Pathway program. Next slide, please. So next we want to look at what's the impact of these funds and these programs on student learning. The impact is tied to our LPAC goals 1 and 2. Goals 1 and 2 focus on instruction, curriculum, and overall social, emotional, and academic experience of students. As I mentioned on the previous slide, one of our major initiatives was funding the MUSD Educate Everywhere Virtual Pathways program. The program required a completely new curriculum for K-6 that could fluidly operate on an online platform. Initial staffing for the program envisioned 5 full-time teachers. We currently have 20 teachers supporting the program who are able to provide our students the same personalized attention students enrolled in in-person learning receive. Next slide. Additionally, goal 1 and 2 are focused on instruction and curriculum, but also that social emotional experience for students. Creating and maintaining a safe learning environment looked and felt different this year. And later in this presentation, I'll talk about chronic absenteeism in more detail. But from our one-time funding, it was critical in meeting the moment. COVID safety-related supplies have been instrumental to staff, students, and family morale and engagement, as it ensures that people feel safe and that everyone has equitable access to in-person learning. And as we all know, a safe learning environment is a precursor to deep learning taking place. Next slide, please. All right, now we're going to get into some of the more nitty-gritty details of the metrics of our goals and our metrics. At this point in the school year, some of our metrics are unknown, some are in progress, and some are known. The metrics for each LCAP goal will be shared on the following slides. It is important to note that green means that the outcome is known, not that we've necessarily reached our goal. And remember, this is an annual update. We are in our first year of our 3-year plan. I'll be sharing the most recent data available. In some cases, this will actually be end-of-year data from the 2021 school year. Next slide, please. So just as a reminder, Goal 1 is all MUSD students will receive standards-based instruction, curriculum, and assessments by highly qualified teachers in a safe environment to be fully prepared for college and career. Unduplicated, low socioeconomics, foster youth, homeless, English language learner, and students with disabilities will make accelerated growth to close the achievement gap. This goal aligns to our state priorities around qualified teachers, state standards, student academic achievement, course access, and student outcomes. Next slide, please. So this is a huge goal, and we have 15 different metrics to unpack how we are working towards it. The individual data points provide specific insight to a larger picture about how we are doing with regards to student learning. And because the Lcap is a actual living, breathing document for us here in MUSD, rather than use it as a once a year benchmark, you regularly hear from the L&D team when new data becomes available. So at the last two meetings, board meetings, we shared much of the data that's on the left side of this slide. The Sarc reports, student reading and math scores, anything that would have been on the California dashboard or the school report card. Some of the data is not yet available, which is listed on the right side. And what I will share out tonight is tied to college readiness. That's highlighted in green. Next slide, please.
Preeti,
In this next set of slides,
excuse me, Preeti, quick question for you.
Yes.
You go back to the previous slide.
Sure.
You have 15 total metrics. You said LCAP goal 1, 15 total metrics, and you have 8 listed.
1, 2, 3, 4. Well, there's some of those are broken down into further little metrics. So like I combined some of them around like Sarc and teachers and instructional materials. Something like college readiness is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different metrics. So I tried to bucket them together in the ways that would hopefully make sense.
Thank you.
Okay, so in this next set of slides, we're going to focus on college readiness. So it's really going deep in one layer. I'm sharing the most recent data available, which is from the 2021 school year. This data is what we call lagging data, as it's fixed when we get it, and it typically comes out in June to August. The blue bar here, the blue bar is the baseline used to write the original plan, and the red reflects where we ended last school year. The gold is still where we plan to grow in the next couple years. As you see, in some areas, particularly in our subgroups, there's more room to grow than in others. This slide focuses on A to G requirements. A to G requirements go beyond the minimum graduation requirements set by the state and reflect entrance requirements for CSU, UC colleges. In general, we've increased A to G completion. We've also made significant growth with our English language learner population and low socioeconomic student groups. Specific actions that I would highlight from MHS and Principal Rojas's team is the introduction of a credit recovery program during the school year. He has focused his team on math and constructed personalized learning pathways for students. Relatedly, the summer program Math Jam has been opened up as a course preview rather than purely for acceleration, which again increases access. Second, during his tenure, Principal Rojas has taken more courses through the state process to gain A to G approval for our existing courses. As a result, more students in general have access to A to G coursework. MHS is in the process of working through this process for a number of special education classes. There is new curriculum that's being piloted this year that we are hoping to bring forth to the Curriculum Policy Committee this year.
So your slide there shows that in our students with disabilities that that we did not have a gain?
Correct.
And that was because we don't have the curriculum?
The curriculum is going through a revision process. I think that there's more to that story in terms of why the number actually went down. I'm still working to unpack that. I don't know if Executive Director Dorpinghouse wants to weigh in on that right now. And if she can get unmuted.
She would unmute herself.
I apologize, I couldn't get to my unmute button. So I think there's a lot of factors going into that, and the number of students that we have with disabilities also has increased. As Executive Director Johari shared, we have to do some more digging into the understanding of those numbers, and also with that information, what we can do to improve that number as well. So that's more information to come.
Are those numbers, do you believe, related to COVID? Because we're looking at 2021, and those were that was the time frame that the majority of the learning was remote, because our campuses were not available. The majority of our campuses were not available to the majority of students with disabilities. So, is there any? Do you believe it just I know you have to unpack it more, but everything else we're showing gains, so it's kind of obvious to ask the question where the graph goes down in terms, or the bar chart goes down, to just dig a little bit deeper into that discussion.
I think that that's a good working hypothesis, especially knowing that during distance learning, engagement with certain populations was harder than with others. So it can also be that that led to students not completing the coursework.
I would also echo on to, or add on to that, that with our students with disabilities, they often require specialized academic instruction. And for many of our students, that is in person and with specialized curriculum. So I think, as Executive Director Johari mentioned, that is certainly a possibility, a hypothesis. I do want to dig into that further. And I would also say our efforts around inclusion and having our students have access to more rigorous classwork and curriculum is also a possibility in the mix there as well.
So if I were to summarize two possibilities or two hypotheses: one, the increased rigor in curriculum, and two, remote instruction, and third, some of the requirements for students to be at their best selves in the remote instruction, based on their IEPs or 504 plans, may not have been available in the same way if we were in person.
I think that's an accurate summary. Okay.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. Thank you. So there are a number of different ways that we assess college readiness. A to G requirements was one. This next slide talks about the early assessment program. The 11th grade CASP scores are used as a proxy for college readiness. Again, these scores are headed in the right direction. What the data bears out is that we are moving kids from one group to the next. More students have moved from met expectations to exceeds expectations, and more have moved from not met to met. Not reflected here is the overall number of students in not met, which has decreased. Next slide, please. Another metric for college readiness is the AP course pass rate. The goal here is to both increase access and maintain or increase our pass rate. The MHS team intentionally reviews their rosters to look for students who are doing well, but not necessarily academically challenging themselves, and invites them to participate in AP classes. MHS has worked on increasing access also through summer programming. They have a AP boot camp, and first-time AP test takers are invited to this program. As you can see here on the graph, both English language learner students and low socioeconomic students have increased their passing rates. Next slide.
We have budgeted about 115 million under the goal number 1. The reason of this big dollar amount is because it includes all of our general ed, special ed, and support staff salary and benefits. And we are, this one is a mid-year update, which includes the spendings beginning from the beginning of the school year until December 31st. So far we have spent 45% of the budgeted expenditure, which is on track because we are halfway through our school year.
Next slide, please. Goal 2. All MUSD students are fully invested to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally in a safe, nurturing, and culturally responsive school environment. This aligns to state priorities that focus on educational partner involvement, student engagement, and school climate. Next slide, please. Goal 2 has 4 metrics tied to it. Earlier in the fall, Executive Director Dorpinghouse and I presented on the Student Climate and Culture Survey. We'll reach back out to students at the end of the year for feedback this spring. Last meeting, you also heard from Director Koide about the Sarc reports, which include the dropout and expulsion rates. Tonight, I will share out about the chronic absenteeism. This is still an outcome in progress. Thank you. As I shared earlier in the presentation, we've done a lot to ensure continuous and safe in-person learning. Part of that has been explicit messaging to our students and families that if you're sick, stay home. That way, the way the state looks at data is an absence, and they don't look at the reasoning behind the absence. And chronic absenteeism is defined as missing 10% or more of school. For example, if we had been in school for 10 days, and if you missed 1 day, you would be considered chronically absent. The bars in this graph are definitely headed in the wrong direction, but I think that this is to be expected this year where COVID-19 is still a very present aspect of our daily lives. We do take student absences seriously and work to mitigate unexcused absences through our SARB process, at first at the school level and then at the district level. We run reports to differentiate between chronically absent, which is anyone who's missed more than 10% of school, and habitually truant, which means they have unexcused absences. The schools-based interventions that we are working on this year are first reaching out to families with a letter, setting up family meetings, and increasing school-based incentives. If these supports do not work, the case is escalated to the district level. 2 areas that I would point out to you in this graph are the positive growth that we have made with our foster youth between last year and this year, and then our students with disabilities. Related to the past, the previous graph that we were also looking at in terms of student outcomes, this is going to again have an important correlation, right? The more learning you miss, the more instruction you miss, the harder it becomes to pass the course successfully. And looking into this with Executive Director Dorpinghouse, we noted that a number of students with disabilities are also medically compromised, which might be leading to their increased absence from in-person schooling. And at present, the VPP program, or especially at the very beginning of the year as it was still being developed, was not always considered FAPE. So we were working on developing alternatives for our students. Questions before I shift?
You said the VPP program was not considered FAPE. Could you talk a little bit more to that?
I can, but I think Executive Director Dorpinghouse can do it more eloquently than I can.
I don't know about the eloquent part, but I'll give it a shot. FAPE standing for Free Appropriate Public Education. With students who are in general education, if parents opted into the VPP program, that was a parent choice. When it came to a student students with disabilities who had an IEP, because of the nature of VPP being an independent study program, the only way that a student could be enrolled in that if they had an IEP was to go through the IEP process. And the Individualized Education Program Plan team met to discuss it. And in some circumstances, those students who were, parents were requesting it, a online program was not considered a free appropriate public education for their student. And that is where the delay was in terms of coming up with, for some students, they would go to the VPP program online, but they would come and we would create a program where they might come to the school just for their resource support or their speech and language support, where maybe parents felt comfortable because it was just a small group that they were with. For some of our students, no matter what we came up with that was not any form of VPP or all of their programming online for like their speech services and all of that would not been appropriate for them. And so we had to work through solutions for those students. And then of course there were some students who were able to access, some students with disabilities who were able to access their program through the VPP program. So in the beginning, before we were able to get all of those IEPs done, there were students who were not attending school as we were trying to sort that out and whether they could be in the VPP program as a student with an IEP through the IEP process, whether that was or was not FAPE, and then what we would do alternatively to support that student and to meet the needs and requests of the parents.
Thank you.
So under goal number 2, we have budgeted expenditures of $2.5 million, and we are so far have spent 39% of it. The reason of it is some of the stipend is not paid until January. The other thing is the invoices for the contract services will come later in the school year.
Next slide, please. Thank you. Goal 3, every school is a community of educators and family working together as partners, sharing responsibility, leadership, and advocacy for the success of all children. All MUSD families feel welcomed and are fully invested in their children's education through authentic partnership with teachers and site leaders. This aligns to state priorities, educational partner involvement, student engagement, and school climate. Next slide, please. So for goal number 3, there are 3 metrics which are determined by an annual survey. The key areas include seeking input from parents and guardians on building relationships, building partnerships for student outcome, and seeking input on decision making. For this goal, the outcome is still unknown. The metric is tied, as I just said, to an annual survey, which happens in spring as it's reflecting on the past school year.
As for goal number 3, we've budgeted about $448,000 under goal number 3, and so far we've spent about 28% of it. The reason that it seems a little bit low is because some of the key role in budgeted in this goal did not start. There was some staff turnover, and the staff did not start until October later of the school year. The other reason is that because this year we have been prioritizing in responding to COVID needs. So some of the action under this goal is being on hold.
Any questions before we move to the closing slide? Okay. So in closing, the continuing impacts of COVID-19, including the challenges of hiring staff, implementing health and safety protocols, and addressing learning acceleration needs due to the impact of distant learning, has presented many challenges this first half of the school year. Despite these challenges, MUSD is committed to implementing the goals that we wrote out in Lcap to provide the necessary services to our students. We continue to grow and improve throughout the year. We acknowledge and sincerely thank the hard work and dedication of our staff and faculty, the support of our parents, and the resilience of our students to continue to reach for excellence every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Director Johari and Director Yen. At this time, do we have any public comments?
I see the hand raised.
Yeah, we have one hand raised. Robert Jung, we're going to enable your audio. Please take yourself off mute. You'll have 2 minutes. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Board and Superintendent Executive Staff. Also, thank you to Ms. Johari and Ms. Yan for the update on the Lcap. As you pointed out, COVID actually made learning a huge challenge. In your presentation and in the current Lcap, it's my suspicion, and I don't know this for a fact, and hopefully you can provide some insight. I suspect that there are students who have experienced some academic loss. What I like to understand, and maybe I missed it, like to understand some data around how many students have really experienced this academic loss, if that is indeed the case. And if there is academic loss, what are the modifications or additions in the LCAP plan to attempt to address that academic loss for the students? And also, I would like to get an idea, since we will be halfway through the 3-year LCAP program or LCAP plan, what's the timetable around trying to address those needs for students? Whether they're, I know there's some additional programming in the summer, but I'm trying to get a better handle on what that is. Thank you.
Our students are still doing well. Our teachers have done an incredible job, both through distance learning and then this year bringing students back in. So our mid-year data based on iReady scores is generally on par with where we would like to see things. In addition to that, sites are implementing site-based interventions. All of the sites have expanded learning opportunity funds, which they are exercising as best fits their needs. So teachers are creating different intervention programs. Some places are coordinating with external resources. We are also working, this is some of the pieces, the L&D, the Learning and Development Department here is working with, coordinating with our sites to make sure we understand what the needs really are, and then to think creatively about breaks like April break, and to think about summer, to really think about how we can provide students with the extra opportunities and supports that they need, both for enrichment and engagement.
Thank you very much. Do we have, let me see, do we don't have any more other comments, public comments?
We have no more public comments at this time.
Okay, at this time, does the board members have any comments or questions?
No questions. I just want to thank you for the presentation and for all the hard work. This is mid-year, and I am waiting to see by the end of the year if the numbers will change. So if the same data will be pre-presented so that we can compare, that will be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation.
So was there an ask, board member Leanne, that at the end, when they do the next update, the presentation includes a comparison to where we were mid-year?
Mid-year and end of the year.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very
I wanted
much.
to say thank you for the presentation and for being candid about where we can improve. And I hope we do improve. Thank you.
I would ask that when at the beginning, you shared the budget for the programs, and then as you went through the presentation, we saw the slides and the expenditures of that budget, but we didn't see those budget numbers associated with that expenditures.
With the new data or the new plans?
Yes.
Yeah, so those actually, we haven't yet incorporated them in as we were trying to share. Some of those are very new funds that we've just received, and we are still in the process of developing the plans, so we haven't spent those funds.
Right, so you showed the percentage of what had been spent, and what hadn't been spent. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Right, but you didn't show the number of the total amount on the slide.
Oh, okay, yes, we can do that next time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
appreciate the presentation and your time and everything that you guys put into that. It was very thoughtful on the amount of work. So we definitely appreciate that. And I always try to recognize that presentations, that we hear you, we see you, and if we have questions, we're going to ask. So thank you for that.
Great, thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to action item 17. A, business services, accept the audit reports for the district's financial statement for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021. Assistant Superintendent, Business Services.
Yes, tonight we would like the board to accept our audit report for the last fiscal year. And this afternoon, our auditor and audit partner had a meeting with board president, Mrs. Ip Chuan, and our superintendent. So we went over the detail of the report. And so tonight, and we have our audit manager, Charles, here, and he will do a summary of our audit to the board. So I'm going to turn it over to Charles then.
Alrighty. Assuming you can hear me okay. My name is Charles Ribley. As Wendy mentioned, I'm the senior manager on the external financial audit for the district, and also in charge of the Measure AA General Obligation Bonds audit. We talked briefly this afternoon, a good long conversation, I think, a good conversation about the results of the audit with Board President Yuchuan and Superintendent Jordan, and I'll just summarize a few of those talking points that we had, and then also show a brief screen share, if I could, of the summary page of all the audit results. So we talked about in our meeting this afternoon about the responsibilities of management with respect to the audit report and the financial statements of the district. Management is ultimately responsible for these financial statements that you see before you in the agenda item. Our responsibility is to opine as to whether or not those financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects. And we talked through as well the timing of the audit and how the audit went overall, and then findings, which was a brief conversation on findings because we were thankful to have none to report this year. I'm going to share briefly one page of the audit report, which there you go.
Yeah, I'm sharing the audit report
Sure.
now. So if
Thank
you can mention the page number, I will just present it then.
Thank you. If you want to zip to page 76 of 81 of the PDF document.
Okay, 76. Okay.
So this page is a nice summary of the audit results. So as we discussed earlier this afternoon a little bit, the audit includes not only the financial statements themselves, but as well the federal audit for federal grants, and then the state compliance audit. So the top section here on this page is noting that we gave an unmodified opinion, and that's the highest level of assurance that you're looking to achieve when it comes to an audit. So a good result. And then in the section that follows here, there's some yes and no check marks. You want no answers in those check boxes. This is a government auditing standards form that we're required to include in all audit reports. And basically, if we had any yeses in those columns, then it would indicate that we had findings in internal control of some level of significance or compliance findings. So none there, and that's a good result. The federal awards audit is the next section on this page, and that's again an unmodified opinion. This year, because the district received different types of funding because of the CARES Act and significant amounts of it, we were required to audit those programs. They're new and they hadn't been audited before, and the ultimate result was an unmodified opinion again. We've listed out below at the bottom of this section here, you can see that we've listed out the two programs that we were required to audit this year, which is the Coronavirus Relief Fund, as well as the Education Stabilization Fund, or as we commonly refer to it in California as the ESSER funds. And so those two programs or clusters of programs is really where we focused our efforts on the federal compliance side this year. And again, an unmodified opinion. And the last section here on the bottom of this page is talking about our state compliance report, and that's again an unmodified opinion. So if you were, like us and excited about auditing and financial reporting, you might have jumped to the back of the report just after this section, and you'd see that there are not many comments in those few pages that follows, and that's a good thing because there are no findings to report. So I think this really just goes as a testament to management being able to provide us everything we needed. Everything was ultimately, it was correct, and it was ultimately what we needed to be able to complete our audit in a timely manner. And so, I think the summary there is it's a good result for the financial audit, compliance audit, and state compliance audit for the district. And I'm happy to take any questions, but really that is my summary for the district audit report.
Yes, thank you very much, Charles, and thank you so much. This afternoon, we did spend about 45 minutes and went over like the process, and what I appreciate was how you guys switch out I guess maybe that's part of the mandate too, is switching to a new person after 6 years to kind of have that fresh pair of eyes to go through the audit, and that was very helpful. So I had my, time with Charles and Jen earlier, so I wanted to give it to the board to have any questions or comments.
No questions at this time. No questions at this time.
Well, I just like to make a comment, and I really like to appreciate our business services staff. And this year audit was difficult because everything was virtual. And also Charles shared, they also increased their volume of testing. So there were lots of documents upload and gathering information from different departments. So to receive a clean audit report is truly a collaborative team effort of business services, human relations, and learning and development. And so it's a good report and lots of work from staff, and they're the one who put everything together along our school side, because normally we will receive a couple recommendations for a student body, and this year we have not, so which is really good. And for that, and thank you everyone for make a smooth audit this year. And because of their good work, and we can have a clean audit report.
And thank you, Wendy, for sharing that. We didn't see it, so we didn't know. So thanks, Charles, and the team for all the effort.
Thank you.
Yep, teamwork. Thank you so much. Okay, if there's no further questions, we're gonna need a motion.
Motion to accept the audit.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Scott?
Roll call vote. Board Member Leanne.
Yes.
Board Member Sai.
Aye.
Board Clerk Ngo.
Yes.
Board Vice President Norwood.
Yes.
Board President Yip Chuan.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So we're moving on to action item 17A2, accept the performance audit report and financial statement. Audit report on Measure AA General Obligation Bond for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021. Assistant Superintendent, Business Services.
Right, so this is for our Measure AA bond program audit. We're required to perform 2 audits. One is called a performance audit. That is basically testing the compliance. If are we in compliance with the ballot language that we committed back then, and to the taxpayers. And the second audit is the financial statement audit of the bond program. So I would like to invite Charles again to go over the summary of both audit report with you tonight.
Sure, thanks, Wendy. So as Wendy mentioned, there's kind of 2 scopes involved in the audit for Measure AA. For the financial statement audit, we're really looking at Measure AA as a standalone. and saying, is the financial statement, when we look at just Measure AA, is that fairly stated as well? And it has its own separate presentation of balance sheet and income statement. So Wendy, I think if you want to go to page, I'm going to go on a leap and say 4. It might be 5. I always have to guess with these PDFs. So yeah, so this opinion here at the top of this page is our financial statement opinion specific to Measure AA. And so we're saying that the Measure AA, when you look at that carved out of the district activity as a whole, that's also fairly stated in all material respects. The pages that follow this are the basic financial statements. So as I mentioned, the balance sheet and the income statement. The fund balance or funds left over that aren't owed to others for, say, accounts payable is the second line from the bottom. That's 19.2 million. And that's what's, again, this is a data that's in arrears. So this is at June 30th, 2021. So it doesn't reflect activity that's happened after that date. But the page that follows, I'm going to draw your attention to one number there. And this is the income statement. No, so in this case, the total expenditures line, which is about 4 up from the bottom, that's 39.9. We'll just round to 40 million for our discussion. So that $40 million was expended from the proceeds during this fiscal period. And the classifications of those expenditures, ranged from the capital outlay projects up to just individual supplies and other services. So I'll note that Wendy, if you want to go to the other report and the very last page of that. So as Wendy mentioned, we look at not only the financial statement audit, but we also look at this for compliance. And so of that 40 million, we're going to get to this page here, which shows that same 40 million under the scope section. And on the third bullet point of the methodology section, you can see that we tested $14.4 million of that 40 million during the fiscal year for compliance. And so we use a non-statistical sampling methodology to select individual expenditures and look at the supporting documentation, which again, this is some items that we discussed in our meeting this afternoon, but we look at the supporting documentation such as invoices, the warrants or checks that were used to pay those invoices, and the purchase order, and in some cases, of course, the contracts that go along with that. And so we look to those documents to align with the project list and Prop 39 to make sure everything was correctly and in compliance, correctly stated and in compliance with Prop 39 and the project list. So the last paragraph here is our conclusion, which shows that we had no issues or concerns in our sample that we tested. So again, an unmodified opinion with respect to the performance audit. So kind of rounding out that we had a good audit overall, as Wendy mentioned, kind of overcoming some challenges of working remotely, but I think we really got there, and I appreciate management doing what they needed to do to get us that audit information. So overall, a good result.
Okay, thank you, Charles. Scott, do we have any public comments? Because I don't see any hands out there.
Yeah, no public comments at this time.
Okay, board members, are there any questions or comments?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, there's a motion to
Approve.
approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Scott?
Okay, roll call vote. Board Member Lien.
Yes.
Board Member Sai.
Aye.
Board Clerk Nyo.
Yes.
Board Vice President Norwood.
Yes.
Board President Yip Chuan.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
All right, thank you very much. And so now we move on to action item 17A3, adopt resolution 2022.27, State Allocation Board and School Facility Program Beyond Bond Authority Acknowledgement, Assistant Superintendent Business Services.
This is a kind of standard document for our process. We're in the process of submitting the new construction eligibility funding for Meadows Phase 2. If you recall, we received $16.5 million for the Phase 1 from the state, and now we're in the process of doing Phase 2 for Meadows. And as part of the process, we need to adopt this resolution. Basically, the purpose, Scott, if you don't mind, could you present the resolution, pull up the document? And the purpose of this resolution is, as a district, we acknowledge that we will submit our funding application, but we know there might not be funding available at the state, and the state is not obligated for our application. It's just a document that requested by the state allocation board. And we actually did this similar resolution when we did the Meadows Phase 1 funding application. So,
Move
any
to
questions?
approve resolution.
Hold on. Are there any public comments, Scott?
We have no public comments at this time.
Okay, so now we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Scott?
Roll call vote. Board Member Leanne.
Yes.
Board Member Sy.
Aye.
Board Clerk No.
Yes.
Board Vice President Norwood.
Yes.
Board President Yip Chuan.
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we move on to action item 17B, Superintendent's Office.
Thank you, President Yip Chuan. And for tonight, we have a resolution that was supported with students from Zanker and staff from Milpitas High School. It is our resolution celebrating Black History Month. Mr. Forstner?
Greetings, this is Mr. Wilson from MHS. Resolution 2022.22, recognizing and honoring February as National African American History Month.
Whereas the origin of National African American History Month, or Black History Month, began in 1915 when historian and author Carter G. Woodson founded the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, ASALH, and initiated the first African American History Week in February 1926.
Whereas the month of February celebrates the contributions that African Americans have made to American history in their struggles for freedom and equality, and deepens our understanding of our nation's history.
And whereas Black History Month is synonymous with the contributions of prominent African American figures such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Webb Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, Marcus Garvey, Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, Thurgood Marshall, Muhammad Ali, Jackie Robinson, Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou, George Washington Carver, Mary Jackson, John Lewis, Geese Jackson, Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice, and Barack Obama.
3.
Whereas Black History Month offers time to learn of the profound impact of African Americans throughout history, including self-made millionaire Madam C.J. Walker, astronaut Mae C. Jemison, open-heart surgeon Daniel Hale Williams, inventor Garrett Morgan, the Black Panther Party, the organization of the Kwanzaa celebration, media moguls Robert Johnson and Oprah Winfrey, and father of Black History Month, Carter G. Woodson, who lobbied to establish Black History Month as a nationwide celebration, and the establishment of Black Freedom Day, FKA, Juneteenth, which is June 19th. Whereas our students of African ancestry have a history that has impacted global development and is much greater than what is typically learned in the U.S. history.
Great.
whereas even the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery in 1865 and the 14th Amendment granting citizenship and equal rights to African American and slaves in 1868. African Americans continue to overcome racism and discrimination to the day, and whereas the formation of the National Association for the Advancement of Black People in 1909, the Harlem Renaissance is in the 1920s, the civil rights movement of the 1940s to 1960s, Brown v. Board of Education in 1954, Rosa Parks in the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955, the Little Rock Nine and the Civil Rights Act both in 1957, and the March on Washington in 1963, and the 1965 Voting Rights Act etc. were all events among many others in U.S. history where African Americans played a central role, and in 2008 the election of first African American president in U.S. history, Barack Obama.
3. Whereas in 1956, right here in Milpitas, California's Sunny Hills became the first planet racially integrated community in the United States. And whereas in 1975, President Ford erased the messages on the erase of Black History Week, expanded by ASALH to Black History Month in 1976, featured by Grace passing a law in 1986. February as National Black Afro-American History Month.
Now, therefore, be resolved that Milpitas Unified School District hereby proclaims the month of February 2022 as National African American History Month and encourages all educators to commemorate this occasion with appropriate ceremonies, activities, and programs. Passed and adopted by the Milpitas Unified School District.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you very much. It was a wonderful video. Do we have any comments or I don't see any comments out there, board members? Anyone like to motion or make comments?
Motion
I'd say that was a great video. I'll
Do we
make
have
the
a motion to
approve.
adopt?
A second.
We have a motion to adopt in a second. Are there any further comments? Okay.
Roll call.
Okay.
Roll call vote. Board Member Leanne.
Yes.
Board Member Sai.
Yes.
Board Clerk Nyo.
Yes.
Board Vice President Norwood.
Yes.
Board President Yip Chuan.
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you very much. Okay. We're moving on to item 17B2, determine if board members' absences meet criteria for compensation under Board Bylaw 9250, Superintendent's Office.
Thank you, President Yip Chuan. This is a new item which will be on our agenda the first board meeting of every month, indicating absences if there are any, and if there are not, then it'll indicate no absences for the previous month. In this case, there was an absence by Trustee Sai.
Okay, can we pull
So,
up the date or?
yes.
Okay, so we are referring to January 11th, 2022. There was an absent by Board Member Tsai. So board member must consider each member's absence to determine if it meets the allowable criteria for compensation. If it does not, the board will then take actions accordingly.
Mr. Forstner, would you please bring up the board bylaw? Particularly the one following this, that's adjacent to it with the resolution. Thank you. So, President Yip Chuan, this is the resolution that the board needs to consider in the absence of Trustee No from the February 11th board meeting.
Trustee Tsai.
Sorry, Trustee Tsai. I'm sorry, Trustee No.
Okay, so at this time, if Board Member Tsai can share with us present or, have a statement, what the absence was?
Okay, as you asked, I want to first off say that I'm not particularly interested in having a lengthy argument about the events of January 11th. However, I do have a simple statement to make, and I'd rather not get this turn into a big argument, but I am prepared to back up everything. So I was there on January 11th at the closed session. After the closed session, I walked into the open meeting with multiple people in the audience. Some people said some things to me, and I later went to the microphone and made a statement that I was not being allowed to take my seat, and then left the room because I wasn't being allowed to take my seat. However, I was there. I do believe this absence should not be counted against me because I did show up at the board meeting and I made every effort to attend. Again, I'm not interested in having an argument over why or why not I wasn't allowed to take my seat. But for the record, I made every good faith effort to attend.
Mr. Forstner, could you please share with the board what you learned regarding board members when they indicate that they are going to be meeting at a remote address under the Brown Act, and in those times when the board has not enacted AB 361 as what happened on February 11th?
On January 11th
Sorry,
at the
yes,
meeting?
thank you.
Yeah. So from my recollection, Board Member Tsai had given his physical location and he was going to participate remotely. And then we posted the agenda with that on. And then when it came to the day of the meeting, he was not at the remote location. He came in person. And we spoke with legal about if we do indicate that any board member is going to be at a specific location and then they're not there, is there anything that, any repercussions of that? And what they had told us was if a physical location is indicated for remote participation and a member of the public was to go to that location and there was nobody there for them to be able to participate in the meeting, it could be would be a Brown Act violation. And so that was the instance that happened on January 11th.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any comments out there?
We have no comments from the public.
Okay, is there a motion?
So I will bring this up again. Like I said, I'm not interested in trying to relitigate the events of January 11th. But I will make the motion that I did show up and made every good and a reasonable effort to attend. So I move that this be accepted.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I'll make the second.
Okay, now it's time for deliberation discussion.
So is it my understanding that Board Member Tsai was absent from the remote location?
Yes, Vice President Norwood, that's correct. He came into the boardroom. And then this school year, we've been requiring all board members to get a negative test, and executive cabinet members and the superintendent to get a negative COVID test, which we provide before every meeting. And from my recollection, Board Member Tsai did not want to do the COVID test. So he left, and we were under the assumption that he might return to the remote location to participate, but that never happened.
Thank you.
Yes, I do remember that he showed up. He gave us an address that he was going to be at the Hyatt Hotel in Santa Clara. And then he showed up at the very tail end of our closed session, which we already decided on most of the items. Then before we started the open session, he showed up, and Superintendent and I asked him to take a COVID test since all the board members have done that, and we also show proof of vaccination. And we asked him multiple times, and yet he refused. He got upset, which caused our board meeting to delay. And when he didn't want to take the test, he went up to the microphone and, excuse me, I'm talking. He announced that he was leaving, and we thought he was going to go to his remote location. And I believe he did not show up on the remote location, or he didn't dial in because he had the Zoom link. So we started our meeting and we ended without him as well. So that's what I remember.
So the motion is to, or the action item is to whether or not approve compensation in his absence.
Correct. Mr. Forstner, can you please bring the resolution again? Because it indicates the reasons for which an absence may be approved and compensated.
Did you want me to read those?
I think if anything, this would probably fall under hardship. I made every effort to attend.
Well, we have a motion and a second. Should we just do the roll call if there's no other further comments on this? Or did you
I
guys?
just would like clarification on what we're voting on, specifically.
Board members, I voted to approve for the compensation, to be excused and approve for the compensation.
So the motion is to approve the compensation. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Did we want a roll call vote, President Yipchuan?
So clarifying that Member Tsai is requesting excuse under the hardship, and he's asking for compensation. So yes, let's do a roll call vote.
Okay, roll call vote. Board Member Lien,
No.
Board Member Sai,
Yes.
Board Clerk Nyo,
No.
Board Vice President Norwood,
No.
and Board President Yip Chuan.
No.
Motion fails 1-4.
So I'm gonna have to make a statement about this. The reason I showed up
Okay,
in person.
I think we've already
at a
voted on this
previous closed
item,
session
so we
meeting,
need to
I
move
met every
on.
single requirement to attend, yet was cut off from the closed session Zoom, even after meeting every single requirement. So I was concerned that I would be cut out of the Zoom yet again. So I had no choice but to show up in person.
Okay, thank you,
where
Board Member
Kelly
Tai. We've
confronted me with the
voted
layout
on the item, so
requirement.
we must move on.
And I
So
really
we're
do not
gonna move
appreciate.
on. We're gonna move on to item number 18, consent items. Consent items are considered routine and will be acted upon by the board in one motion. There is no discussion on these items prior to the motion unless members of the board, staff, or public request that specific items be tabled or be removed for discussion or corrections. So at this time, there's been a request to pull item 18A4, which is approve the IBI Architects additional services for Matos Phase 2.
Yes, President Yip Chuan, we would like to share progress photos.
So the process is that we're gonna pull that item, we're gonna vote to approve the consent items, discuss that item, and then bring that, and then, okay. So we have so,
So there's an item, so is there a motion?
yes, which is the item that we're pulling?
We're pulling 18A4.
Motion to approve the consent items, except for 18A4.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I-
Scott?
I'd also like to pull the minutes from the January 11th meeting.
Which item is that one?
That is 18D2.
So if we carry this through, we do a roll call vote. I can make another motion to exclude 18D2, and then we can add that to the list. So let's do the roll call on this item, and then we'll pull that one.
You got it.
Hold on, wait a
So,
minute, hold on a second. We can't do that because if we approve all the items and then.
just make a amendment.
to the
Amendment, yeah.
So I'd like to amend my motion to include item, Scott, what was that number?
18D2.
To include 18D2.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second amendment.
Okay, second. Scott?
Okay, roll call vote. Board Member Lien,
Yes.
Board Member Sai,
Yes.
Board Clerk Nyo,
Yes.
Board Vice President Norwood,
Yes.
Board President Yip Chuan.
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Okay, Superintendent?
Yep, we have some photos to show of the progress at Matos.
Yes. Let me share my screen. It doesn't popping up. Okay. Oops. It shows on my screen. Oh, here. Okay, good. Well, we're very happy to report out that our Matos construction is on track. The whole campus is anticipated to complete around April this year. So the school is ready for this coming school year. And here are just some pictures that we can share with you the progress. Let's see. So this is the outside of building, and you can see all the buildings is up. And then this is the inside. This is the multi-purpose room. another way of looking at it, and this is the classroom setting. Well, I have more picture, but so far, I guess that's all I have. It stopped.
Okay.
Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Zong. So we wanted to show the progress since this item calls attention to Matos.
Thank you very much. Other questions?
And that'll be ready for the next school year.
Yes,
Is that
it
correct?
should be done by
Yes.
April, and we will have it fully opened in fall.
Yeah.
And it can accommodate 800 students.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. The school
Wow,
is
that's amazing.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing piece because there are talks at other campuses where there's no available classrooms, and this just alleviates that, especially for the community around Matos to be able to attend the school closer.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Well, with that, move to approve 18A4.
Okay, we have a motion to approve 18A4.
I second.
We have a motion and a second, Scott?
Roll call vote. Board Member Leanne.
Yes.
Board Member Sai.
Yes.
Board Clerk Yo.
Yes.
Board Vice President Norwood.
Yes.
Board President Yip Chuan.
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Okay, thank you very much, Scott. So, Board Member Tsai, you wanted to pull that item 18D2?
If you recall at the last board meeting, that was being put up for approval, but it wasn't attached to the agenda. So if I recall correctly, I moved to table that at the last board meeting because the minutes themselves weren't even posted. After having reviewed it, I think there's a few things missing. It should reflect that I was there for part of closed session. Admittedly, I wasn't there for all of it. And I was there at the beginning of open session, and I made a statement that I was not being allowed to take my seat. So I would just like that to be included.
I think there was a correction there. You did not show up for open session because you left before I started open session.
You wouldn't have started. You wouldn't even let me take my seat.
You left after. Then I came here and we started late and we opened the open session.
Well, you wouldn't have opened it unless I left because you weren't letting me take my seat.
You refused to take the COVID test and you left. Then afterwards, we started the meeting.
So it sounds like Board Member Sai has a request. So it sounds like Board Member Sai has a request to amend he wants to make a motion to amend the January 11th minute meeting to include additional information. Is that correct, Board Member Sai?
Yes.
Okay. So are you making a motion to do that?
Yeah, and based on the information that I just provided.
So is your motion to approve with the amendment that you were there for like 10 minutes in the end of the closed session?
We don't need to argue about the specific minutes. It can just reflect that I was there for part of closed session and the beginning of open session before I made a statement and left the room.
So
it sounds like there's a motion
I did make the
an
statement.
amendment to the minutes that Board Member Sai is proposing. And I believe, Madam President, you would ask, is there a second to that amendment?
that's correct. Is there a second? Okay, seeing none. Is there another motion? That motion dies. Now we need a new motion.
Motion to approve the minutes as stated, as already previously listed.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes as is. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, Scott.
Roll call vote. Board Member Leanne.
Yes.
Board Member Sai.
No.
Board Clerk Nyo.
Yes.
Board Vice President Norwood.
No.
Board President Yip Chuan.
Wait, can you, it was yes, yes, no? So this is to approve the minutes as is. So I vote yes to approve the minutes as is.
And I need to make my correction. I mentioned, because I made the motion, I want the minutes to be approved as is, so my vote should be yes.
Okay, let's do a redo on the roll call, just for my clarification. So we have the motion made by Vice President Norwood. We have a second by Board Member Leanne, and we'll go through the roll call. Board Member Leanne.
Yes.
Board Member Sai.
Wait, who's making the motion? The motion to, who made it? Is there saying Chris Norwood?
I made the motion to approve the minutes as is.
Okay. Then I'm gonna say no.
Board Clerk Nyo.
Yes.
Board Vice President Norwood.
Yes.
Board President Yip Chuan.
Yes.
Passes 4-1.
All right, thank you very much, Scott. So we are moving on to item number 19, dates of future board meetings. February 18, we have the Board Superintendent Retreat, Superintendent Mid-Year Review, and a closed session at 2:30 p.m. February 18th, we have a special board meeting to discuss parcel tax updates. Open session is at 4:30. March the 8th is a tentative study session at 5 o'clock, tentative closed session at 6 p.m., and an open session at 7, hybrid on Zoom, YouTube, and boardroom, 1331 East Calaveras, Building 500. March 22nd, tentative study session at 5 p.m., tentative closed session at 6 p.m., open session 7 p.m., hybrid on Zoom, YouTube, boardroom. And then item number 20 is announcements, reminders, executive team, are there any? Okay, there's none. How about board members?
None for me.
This is our only meeting for the month.
Excuse me?
Do we have another board meeting this month?
No, we do not, because we have February break coming up.
Okay,
We have a special board meeting.
We have the special board meeting on February 18th, correct?
okay, thank you. Next Monday, wish all the families and the children in the school district a happy Valentine's Day.
All righty, thank you. Thank you, everyone. And with that, I'd like to motion that we adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Roll call vote. Board Member Leanne.
Yes.
Board Member Sai.
Yes.
Board Clerk Nyo.
Yes.
Board Vice President Norwood.
Yes.
Board President Yip Chuan.
Yes.